I started playing Gran Turismo when I was about 5 years old with my brother. In 2017, I started playing Gran Turismo Sport because I wanted to be part of the live events.
I've been playing this game since when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and it has been part of my life, so being able to be part of the game now, it's kind of crazy to think about.
If you want to get into the Gran Turismo and race like us, you have to really believe in yourself first.
自分の腕試しにももってこいですし、ライバルと競い合えるということで、自分を高め合える大会なので、非常にいい大会だと思っています。
Driver in front, but he runs it a bit too hot into there. Well, that was a very climatic end to it.
Yes. To be a top competitor, you need first of all the speed, but the consistency is very important.
Hello and welcome to round 3 of the incredible FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships. We've got 2 immense races lined up for you. In the Nations Cup, superstars Gallo, Cockburn, Serrano and co will be battling it out once again. And before that, we've got the Manufacturers Series where things literally turned on their head last time we were here. But before even that, we've got news that is so huge it just can't wait. The launch date for GT7 has finally been announced. Brace yourself for a glimpse into the future. Jimmy, I mean, can I pick you up off the floor? You've been waiting. Oh, like everyone. Actually, to be fair, everyone's been like this. Drop the trailer. How was it?
I sat there. I prepared myself. I had my snacks, I had my drink.
Did you?
Yeah,
You got like a whole ritual
yeah,
going.
all right, here comes the trailer. Get ready for it. And when like the intro started up, and it's just like a carbon copy of the old style GT intro, like just hairs in the back of my neck. It was so cool, like nostalgia overload.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it looked obviously spectacular, but I suppose the thing I really want to know from you, number one, what was your kind of favourite thing from the trailer? But also, I'm sure everybody in the whole GT fandom was messaging you. What was kind of like the sort of overarching response?
Well, usually I get people messaging me anyway because they all assume that I know something. I don't know anything. They don't tell me nothing, all right? And if they did and I told you, I'd probably be hunted down. But I think for me, the big thing was just seeing the tuning menu where it's just like, hey, get turbo, put turbo on car go fast. And I love that.
You're a simple man.
I'm very simple, but it's also the reason why in real life I've made a lot of very poor financial choices with cars. So thank you, GT. I appreciate that.
So what were the fans saying, though? What was kind of the response?
I think it was more just like, this is going to be the best of both worlds, because GT Sport, of course, catering more to like the online competition part of it, and with the sort of main GT games being more like the enthusiast stream. So put them both together and you get this amazing sort of combinations. I think people are really happy to see that.
I think, you know, honestly, it's the question we get asked the most was about the trailer being, and it was just, it delivered and then some, and hurry up, God, it seems like a long way away now, but like, that's fine. We'll be patient, we'll wait. We waited, so it's amazing. Also, by the way, guys, if you're wondering where, you know, Jimmy's on-screen husband is, and of course, I mean, Tom Brooks, by that, it wasn't him. Tom couldn't be with us in the studio today, but by the magic of technology, he's going to be joining Jimmy shortly in the commentary box. Well, if the news about the launch of GT7 isn't exciting enough, for goodness sake, it's now time for round 3 of the Manufacturer Series. Last time around, Team Mazda moved to the top of the table, but even more impressive was Team Toyota, who hadn't registered a point up until World Series Showdown, and then promptly went on to win it with an epic victory for Igor Fraga in the grand final. Reigning champions Team Subaru are lurking ominously in third, and Peugeot and VW are right in the mix too. With points only on offer to our top 3 finishers, it means everyone will be desperate for a place on the podium.
Brevchenko's wide, and Brevchenko loses out as Sternberg goes through as Yamanaka comes over the line to win race 1.
If you are not 100% focused in the race, rivals can always beat you, so that's so important to get a good result as a team.
But it's Hiroshi Okamoto who wins the race in the Volkswagen.
Okay. Yes. 僕自身にとっては初めての世界大会で、緊張と楽しみとなんかいろんな感情がぐちゃぐちゃになってたんですけど、なんとかレースをうまくまとめることができてよかったです。
We need to look out for Toyota and Mazda. The Toyota is very good at pretty much every track, and the Mazda is very good on tyres and fuel.
Kocherman's quite close, but not close enough to mount a charge, or is he? He's up the inside, there's contact between the two. Kocherman there with a very late lunge indeed, and he does get through into second place.
ワールドシリーズ3に向けてワールドシリーズショーダウンでチームメイトが作り上げてくれた戦績を3でも活かせるように頑張りたいと思います。
And at the end of 25 laps, Igor Fraga and Toyota win the Manufacturers Series in the World Series 2021 Showdown.
My teammates did great in their race as well, so we could head to the final in a good position, fighting for the championship. And then in the final round, I think starting from pole and be able to just stay ahead of everyone like the entire time was very crucial to win the race.
I like driving the Peugeot Group 3 because it suits my driving style, so it's quite nice to be able to drive with it on a live event. For World Series 3 and 4, I'll try to score some extra points for Peugeot so we can maintain our position for the World Finals.
From now on, our goals as a Toyota team is to try to get the same result or even better and try to be the world champion this year.
Well, Jimmy, now comes the time where I force you to make ridiculous predictions that you sometimes get wrong. So what's going to happen in this race?
Well, unfortunately, Jules, the third eye is sort of a bit a bit bad today, so we're not going to make any big predictions because that's how I get in trouble usually. But I can go through the start list for you and say that, of course, Igor Fraga there again, our champ, our boy Igor Fraga in the Toyota, a combination that we're very much used to as well. Alonso Regalado for the Aston Martin team as well, and Takuma Viazono back again in Team Subaru as well. But some new names in there. Of course, Quintin Yehul did really well last time, impressed us in pretty much everything he's done so far. So a driver that I think is definitely worth noting, as well as Okamoto, of course, in VW. He won in the Manufacturers Series and Showdown event last time around with the, what was the line? The infamous, yes,
I'm the winner.
Yes,
it was great. It was great. The realisation over his face and the slight little power hand grab, it was adorable and amazing, and I'm fully into it.
I'm the king is what he was saying right there. And of course, Baptiste Beaufoy as well. He had a bit of a rough time, I think, last time out in the Nations Cup. Still doing well Manufacturers, though. Of course, been representing Mercedes for a very long time now for good reason. So hoping for a better result, I think.
It's quite exciting, actually. I'm really enjoying this kind of mix-up. We've still got some classic drivers, but then we've got this fresh meat in it. It's all kind of shaking things up, like a good mix of kind of old and new.
It's a bit like a GT7 trailer, isn't it, Jules?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you segued that round.
High five, guys.
That's pretty spectacular. Well done. All right, well, look, I can't wait any longer. Let's see how all our drivers get on in qualifying.
So round 3 of the Manufacturers Series takes place at the Red Bull Ring, a circuit full of overtaking opportunities. T1, T3, T4, my personal favourites, and our guys out there today, I'm sure, will be utilising those to their advantage. Group 3 cars being used today that these guys will be very familiar with well, of course. Single lap qualifying and a rolling start. Now, interestingly, the Racing Hard compounder tyre is the tyre being used, and 1 pit stop is required during the race, but you don't have to change tyres if you don't want to. So risk versus reward then for our drivers today. So qualifying then for the Manufacturers Series, a few little surprises for us up here in the commentary booth. First of all, this wasn't really a surprise. Jose Serrano for Porsche doing a great time, a 1:28.6. But here was one of those surprises. Yuki Araki in the Dodge Viper, a car that we've not really seen much represented in the Manufacturers Series, but in a fantastic time, a 28.8. Here's Baptiste Beaufoy for Mercedes as well. Eyes always on him around this circuit, but not quite able to go quicker than the Dodge in front. Now here is a massive moment that Sad Tapai might not look like much, but he's on an absolutely amazing lap, went a bit wide for the middle sector, picked up the penalty, and that was him to the back of the grid. Takuma Viazono in the WRX, not a good car for this circuit, not much straight line speed, but still that skill shining through, a 28.8 from our triple champ. Here is Okamoto, had a really strong showing at the Showdown event last time out, but wasn't quite able to get that speed out of the VW this time towards the back of the field. And someone had a bit of a worse time than that, as Ryota Kokubun. So here through T3, completely misses the apex, can't quite get the car turned in, and again at T4, very, very wide, and for that reason, his time was quite far down the order. And I think just a little bit of confidence gone there. You can see through the last corner, sliding, trying to make up that time, but Ryota Kokubun will be all the way down in 8th place, not where we're used to seeing Mazda and Ryota Kokubun. But Igor Fraga, the last person across the line, looking very fast in the middle sector, but then across the line just 5,000 slower than Jose Serrano, who took pole position. Here are then your final standings for qualifying. Jose Serrano for Porsche narrowly, and I mean narrowly, beating out Igor Fraga by 5 thousandths of a second, with a fantastic qualifying session also from Araki for Dodge to get onto 3rd on the grid.
Great job by Team Porsche and Jose Serrano for taking pole position for our Manufacturers Series race. Now let me stroll across and over to Jimmy at the Holostrator to find out a little bit more about this track.
Welcome to my area.
I know. It's much easier going up those stairs, let me tell you. All right, look, what have we got to look out for on this particular one? Where's the action going to happen?
Action everywhere. This is Red Bull Ring, one of my favourite circuits in GT Sport. Reason being, it's just long straights and then sudden stops, which means lots of overtaking, which is
we like that.
We're into that, yeah. So I think best spots for me on the circuit, got AMS and you've got Roush down the bottom there. Downhill braking, again, long straights into a heavy braking zone. I think those are going to be the places we're going to see the most action.
OK, but hold on, didn't Miyazono did some, absolutely baller move on My World that one time?
Oh, yeah, OK, fair enough. Yeah, OK. Well, that doesn't happen very often, but of course, it's Miyazono, so it happens whenever. Here it is. It was the final lap, final corner, Miyazono sells a dummy on Team Toyota and just sends it up the inside. Absolutely mugged to the line there. That's the difference between second and first in one corner. You'll have to see it.
I mean, I didn't think it was possible to drive a car with your elbows out like this, but apparently you can, and that's how he did it. It's pretty spectacular.
I love the idea of just like one each window.
Just get out of the way. I'm coming through. I mean, that's how I drive and why I'm not competing. There we go.
Never go in a car, Julia.
Thanks, Jimmy. Now, I'm not sure how good your foreign language skills are, but, you know, if you'd like a little bit of practice, why not watch the show in one of these languages? We've got another 5 options on top of English, and some say they make way more sense than us. I think that depends on what your mother tongue is. Anyway, however you prefer to watch, it's time to go trackside for round 3 of the Manufacturers Series.
Here we are then, drivers are lined up on the grid, ready for the Manufacturer Series race of World Series 3 for the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's Jose Serrano for Team Porsche, who will line up on pole position, that time of 1:26.688. He's got Igor Fraga for company on that front row of the grid, just 5 thousandths of a second adrift. Then Yuki Araki, the surprise in the Dodge Viper, third quickest in qualifying, with the 18-year-old Belgian Quintin Yehul alongside him. Then it is the winners of World Series 2, Takuma Viazono Subaru in P5, with Baptiste Beauvoir for Mercedes-Benz. Their best finish so far of the season, only third. Alonso Regalado finishes in P7 in qualifying. He lines up there for 7th on the grid. Sugimori for Honda will line up in P8. Completing the top 10 is Mazda's Ryota Kokubun, and Kokubun, of course, with Mazda leading the championship in the Manufacturer Series, with Okamoto in the Volkswagen Beetle alongside him. Then the final row of the grid is comprised of Mario Straka, the Slovakian, and of course the luckless Adam Tapai. In qualifying, of course, he got a penalty. His lap time was disallowed, and he will therefore start from 12th and last on the grid. So, Jimmy, only hard compound tyres available for our drivers, but a mandatory pit stop here for this.
Yeah, interesting from a strategic point of view. You do have to take a pit stop. You don't have to take tyres or put fuel in, though. So go fast early. Maybe you have to do a bit of refueling, or maybe you want to burn those tyres early and have a tyre stop, or maybe be a bit slower, a bit more careful on your tyres, and then not take tyres at the stop. So the choice is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the average pit loss time is going to be about 14 seconds plus the stop time if the drivers do put fuel in or indeed change their tyres. So let's see what is going to happen then as we get ready for round 3 of the World Series for the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships. Jose Serrano for Team Porsche is going to lead the field over the line here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria and down towards that first corner. The race then is underway. Serrano for Porsche leads the way from Fraga for Toyota. Weaving the drivers are as they try to get heat into the tyres on the uphill run towards that first corner. Of course, a rolling start spreads the field out quite a lot, so don't expect any rash moves being made, but there's a really, really long run down this straight through the left-handed kick of turn 2 and on the brakes into turn 3, and that's where we could see positions ready to change hands for the first time. But it is Serrano that has the advantage over the field. On the brakes into turn 3 we go then with Fraga, and really deep on the brakes there for Quintin Yehul from 4th position. He just about gathers it up, but he was quite close on the back there of Araki's Dodge.
Yeah, everyone really just sort of defending through there, just sensing whether a move can be made. Both Serrano and Fraga both feeling they don't have enough heat in their tyres at the moment, so a bit more weaving down towards T4 there. So it's Serrano for Porsche, Toyota, Dodge and Araki in 3rd at the moment. Quintin Yehul in the Peugeot behind. No one making any moves at the moment, but Fraga very close to the back of Jose Serrano in that Porsche. Now this is where we think the Porsche is a bit quicker. This one Toyota through here. The Toyota, of course, front engine, so a bit more understeer prone than the Porsche in front. And you can see that just the Porsche just running a little bit of a gap through there, but as soon as the Joe gets his power down, gets into the toe, he starts to gain back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, and down towards the final sector of the lap we go. You can see Fraga there closing up onto the back of Jose Serrano. Now, what I what's going to be going through Fraga's head at this point? Is he going to be thinking about pouncing on Serrano earlier? Is he just going to bide his time? There's a lot to lose and not a lot to gain in the early stages of this race, given how long it is, and of course, given that mandatory pit stop, strategy could be a very important factor there as well. So we'll see how it all plays out between the drivers. You can see there Baptiste Beauvoir in 6th position. Mercedes-Benz been a bit off the colour in 2021 so far. The car has not been as quick as they would have wanted, and here is a problem for Ryota Kokuma. He started down the order. You can see him in here in 9th position, but he was last over the line, ran it out wide through turn 4 there. Drops right to the back of the grid.
I hate to say it, a bit of an amateur mistake there from Ryota. Just very easy to go wide there if you're on the throttle early. We just sort of understeered off. Here are our predicted points, the manufacturers, as they stand at the moment. Of course, it's the race ended right now, and that would put Toyota to the top of the table, but we still have 18 laps to go. So a long way in this race to go before we get any idea of who's where and what's what. And realistically, really, there's not much you can do with Jose Serrano at the front, because you need to put a gap of about 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds, to actually break the toe to those guys behind you. Otherwise, you just drag everybody on, along with you.
And you've just got to play it steady, I guess, if you're Igor Fraga, Iraqi, Yehul, etc. at this point. There's no point doing anything rash and compromising your race and potentially another competitors as well.
Yeah, there is that kind of option to it, really. You think as a driver, you want to be first all the time, pretty much. So it's always quite hard to follow somebody around. But sometimes you've got to just think, okay, let's just take it easy, let's just relax a little bit and see how the race unfolds as time goes on. So also we've got a sort of a lead pack forming here, which is Serrano, Porsche, Toyota, Dodge, Peugeot and Subaru, and it looks like Baptiste Beauvoir in the Mercedes just starting to fall to the back here. So this is what we expect to see as time goes on, I think, as the cars are going to start to spread out a little bit. We're going to start to have sort of little packs racing, and that's just the nature of a circuit, given we have so much specific around here. Here's Iraqi, you can see him picture there with Igor Fraga in front in the Toyota as well. Both of them look like they're just having a little Sunday drive, don't they? Very chilled out. You should see me when I drive, just full of sweat usually, so these guys are a lot more composed than I do. Now here we are, Iraqi looking for a move here, looking every which way he can around Igor Fraga, but Igor's an old hand. He's not going to get by that easy, are you?
Certainly not, and Fraga then just chops off the line, coming down in towards the braking zone of turn number 4, goes a little bit more defensive. That's going to potentially, I was going to think, compromise his exit on the run out of the corner, but he manages to get it all gathered up, and it's such a short run comparatively down in towards the next left-hander which follows. No such problems there for Igor Fraga to keep a watching brief on his mirrors for the time being. But I suppose if you're Iraqi at the moment, you're in an unfortunate position of attacking and trying to defend at the same time. He's trying to get past Igor Fraga, or looking to, but he's got to keep his eyes full of the Peugeot of Quintin Yehul.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Dodge has a little bit of a straight line speed advantage over some of the cars around it, so it's not too bad when you find yourself sort of being slipstreamed by the guy behind. But I'm just looking at that picture there. Iraqi's just smiling, he's having a great time. This is the first time Dodge has been anywhere near this high up in the order. I think he's happy to be there, frankly.
Just sat there vibing away.
He's having a great time, and well, what is there to say when you're driving against, of course, our 2018 Nations Cup champion and keeping up with him easily? Here's Miyazono as well, and there's Quintin Yehul up in the top left. Great to have these driver cams here at the moment as well, isn't it? Just get an idea of what these guys are actually going through when they're driving.
Yeah, absolutely right. It really does make it very exciting for the audience at home. I'm sure you can see top 3 finish there for Yehul, and top 4 in the World Series Showdown for Miyazono. And those competitors running in 4th and 5th place in the World Series 3 Manufacturer Series race that we're watching here at the moment. You can see Baptiste Beauvoir on the left-hand side of the screen. Now, he's a driver with a fiery temperament, I think it's fair to say, and he's got Alonso Regalado now ready to send it down the inside. They run side by side on the brakes. The Aston Martin versus the Mercedes-Benz, and the British manufacturer is ahead and into 6th place.
And Schumacher Villeneuve vibes there. Looks like both White turned into Regalado, actually tried to stop him going through, but Regalado's already through by that point, so nice position gained there from Regalado, but goes quite wide on the exit there. You'll be really careful going wide on the exit. I wish you might pick up a penalty if you're not careful. With a bump as well from both. While these guys are starting to get the elbows out, as I think they're both squabbling over 6th place. What that means behind them, though, is Sugimori in the NSX for Honda is basically just waiting for his chance to pound. Regalado there, messing up the second to last corner. Big understeer moment on the way in there. Just got the front a bit too early, the nose pushed down. That slowed them both down. But look at the mirror there, top right. There is Sugimori in the NSX. So if anything happens with these two, he's going to be there ready to pick up the pieces.
Down the start-finish straight to go on the braking zone into the first corner. You can see there both are right onto the rear wing of Alonso Regalado. Sugimori there in the Honda NSX in the background, ready to try and pounce if anything changes hands. But of course, for the disadvantage there of Sugimori in front of him, Beauvoir has got the slipstream from Alonso Regalado. And I suppose if nothing else, that does just go to show how impressive that slipstream effect is, but also how fast that Aston V12 advantage is in a straight line.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got that's a bingo card done for the day. Aston V12, good in the straight line. But it seems fine for now as we pop now down to the T4. Looks like a little bit of contact there actually on the back of Regalado. Baptiste Beauvoir not quite getting the car slowed down quick enough. That's the old bump and run. I'll be interested to see what the stewards think of that. I mean, all's fair enough in racing, I say usually, but not a little bump every here and there. So Baptiste is up into 6th place. Regalado going very wide out of there. And you know, I won't be surprised if we see. Oh, there you go. It's almost like, you know what, I'm retiring, becoming a psychic, all done and dusted. Thank you very much.
There's a career in after racing, a commentating view as a steward for sure.
I'll read your palm for you, mate.
Incident involving Regalado and Beauvoir, of course, under investigation. A penalty then automatically awarded to Regalado. And I wonder whether the stewards are just going to increase that penalty from 1 second a bit further and a bit rackety out of that final corner there for Regalado. That allows Sugimori to close up. So now Regalado has had his concentration broken and a penalty there being given to Beauvoir for the contact as well. So it's a bit of a stalemate, and it's Christmas come early for Sugimori because he's set to take advantage of that and gain 2 positions once the penalties have been served.
He said rubbing his hands, didn't he? Sugimori wins by doing nothing. And speaking of lunges here comes Igor Fraga up the inside of Jose Serrano, though he's a little bit tight on exit, which means Serrano gets a better exit, better drive out the corner. He's able to defend from the Brazilian driver in the Toyota. And Araki was in there as well. He fancied a little go. I mean, he's in a good place, Araki, at the moment. We've just seen essentially the same thing happen a bit further down the grid, where 2 cars coming together and the guy behind benefiting from it. And that might happen there for our lead group. We have 5 cars who are sort of within a shout of winning this race at the moment. Of course, bear in mind there is a mandatory pit stop we've not done yet, so that might shake up the order a little bit. But it's looking like now that Igor Fraga getting a little bit impatient with Jose Serrano in front.
If you're a driver that's a bit further down the order, but still involved in this league group, I'm thinking the likes of Takuma Viazono, Quintin Yehul, etc. Do you think that they're going to try and do something different, get themselves onto hard tyres, a new set of hard tyres if those in front don't change over, and just try something different?
Just depends really whether taking the tyres is a strategy here. It will, of course, just to reiterate that whilst the racing hard tyre is there, it is not mandatory if you actually to switch the tyre out. You can just maintain the same tyre if you want, but I'm fairly sure we're going to see people taking tyres anyway. If that is the case, hypothetically, and I'm speaking hypothetically here, if I was Viazono, I'd pit early, go up to a fresh set of tyres and try and make the jump. But the toe round here is so strong that, as you're seeing right now, actually, as Fraga again looks around the outside of Serrano, can he get it done this way instead? No. Oh look, here comes Araki on the inside there in the Viper, and I think Fraga's has done himself dirty here in the Toyota. He has done, and Araki up into 2nd place in the Dodge, slots in front. There you go. I like that. That's very cheeky. It's like, got you.
Onto the brakes we go. Here comes Fraga immediately trying to retaliate into T4. No way through there for the Brazilian driver. And now he's going to keep his eyes, Fraga, of course, on the mirrors, because Quintin Yehul in that Peugeot RCZ will be ready to pounce. This top 5, the quintet of drivers coming through the middle sector, all very evenly matched in terms of qualifying pace and race pace, as it turns out. On lap 7 here, you wonder whether Araki is going to try and get himself to the front. If he's got the pace to get in front of Serrano, will he try and do so? Or will he just hold station for the time being? He's going to have to keep an eye, though, on Fraga, because we know that the Brazilian driver will prefer to be in 2nd rather than 3rd at this stage. So let's see whether Fraga in that Toyota is going to be able to find his way past. And of course, Toyota won the World Series Showdown last time out as part of the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships in 2021. We know how fast that Supra GR3 machine is, especially at the hands of Igor Fraga. Oh, Araki there, just getting a little bit sideways on corner exit. Not too much to cause concern about, but if you do that too much, and especially coming out of a slower corner onto a long straight like this, it can cost you more than it can gain. And at a latter stage in the race, that could be crucial.
Looks good though. See, that's the important thing. Got to look good when you're out there smashing your Viper around. But no, I'm a Dodge fan for this race. Usually I'm a Nissan fanboy, but my boys haven't been delivering recently They stand down 11th right now. We've only Ryoto Kokuma behind, surprisingly. 13 Mask really struggling today, it seems. We're on board now with Quintin Yehul in the Peugeot. Just again biding his time. That's sort of what this race is going to be for a while. I think it's just just waiting for the guy in front to make a mistake and then taking a lunge when you feel like you can. Problem is when you do that, as you'll all know at home, if you are fighting, that means you're slowing each other down, and that allows the guys ahead to move forward a bit further. And that's sort of what happened here at Frage, where he's lost that pace a little bit. Araki and Serrano now starting to pull a little bit of a gap over the Toyota driver.
Through the right hand they go, over the crest of the hill and down in towards final series of corners. You can see the top 5 still running nose to tail as they come through there. Now, who is going to be the first driver to blink here? Ah, look at that, just as I say, that's almost like I'm a prophet. So, Frage comes into the pit lane, as does Yehul, as does Viazono then as well. So, Serrano and Araki are the only 2 from the top 5 that continue on their normal lap. So, these top 3 drivers predictably trying to get the undercut at this stage here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens here. I mean, they've all got enough fuel, so there will be no fuel added to the car here, just tyres. And they are opting to change tyres. There you go, fresh set of the hard Michelin tyres going on to Igor Frage's Toyota as come on the pit lane now. We're going to have to wait a lap or 2 to see how this all sort of pans out, because we Serrano and Araki to pit as well at the top. Interesting, Kokuma coming in as well. Not really sure what options he has open now, to be honest. He's so far back, but you never know, maybe there'll be a blinder somewhere and we'll be talking about a master victory in a few laps time, but unlikely. Here's Frage looking back from Yehul and Viazono. These guys come out the pit lane in the same order they went in, so their pace now is very much dictated by Igor out front in the Toyota. If he makes any mistakes, they're all going to have to sort of just wait for him, which means that Araki and Serrano are sort of doing the opposite. They're trying to push as hard as they can now on this in lap. It must be that they both should be coming in now, otherwise it's not going to go well for them, I don't think. So yeah, the gap from what I can see is quite consistent though, so not much pace difference.
Yeah, 10 times tyre wear, just to remind you here. So 10 laps, of course, are the equivalent, or so 1 lap is the equivalent to 10 laps at this Red Bull Ring circuit. So those tyres are definitely coming towards the end of their useful shelf life, and that was evidence in the lap times that we were seeing with the top 5. And now, of course, 3 of those drivers having pitted, they're on fresher rubber, so they're going to be a little bit quicker. And exactly as you predicted, Serrano comes into the pit lane, but I don't think Araki did. He's continued on for another lap then. So that's an interesting strategy call for the Dodge driver. And I do wonder whether that's going to cost him more than it will gain him staying out.
Yeah, interesting is a polite way of saying probably the wrong one.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends really. If Araki's going to be in clean air, that's about the only thing that's going for him right now. He's on tyres that, if you shake away the tyre wear multiplier, are like 100 laps old, you know, in that regard. So, and here's going to be interesting. Where does Frage and Quintin Yehul come out behind Serrano the Porsche? They are very close, but I think Serrano's just about kept the place. He has actually, so there you go. So Serrano's kept the place at the moment from the guys behind. There is an overspeed coming down here to T3. T2 is a little king, you can see in the background there. But Serrano has managed to take back second place at the moment. The only person, of course, up ahead is Araki. Now, you can see in the timing column there that there's 16.6 seconds between Serrano and Araki. We're going to watch that gap as the lap goes on. If it comes down, it's not looking good for Team Dodge.
I don't think he's going to be able to have enough to do this. I think if he does have enough, he's going to be right at the back of that quintet of drivers. So let's see what's going to happen. It's about 14 seconds was the average pit loss time going into this one, but once you've taken on some tyres, as you said, Jimmy, it's going to be super close between these guys. And let's see what is going to happen then. Looking at Igor Frage and Jose Serrano as we ride on board with the Spaniard, of course, who was so unlucky in the Nations Cup. Here comes Frage on the inside of Serrano as Araki pits, then coming down in towards the right-hander of turn 9 and turn 10. No opportunity presenting itself. Araki then, as they come through into the final series of corners, is he going to emerge in front as these drivers come out? Let's see what's going to happen then. Down the start-finish straight we go. It's Frage versus Serrano for the effective race lead as we come on to start another lap. Down the start-finish straight we go. It's the Toyota on the inside, Serrano in the Porsche on the outside. Frage goes through into the race lead. Here's Araki on pit exit then as well, and somehow he's just ahead, but of course these guys in front have got a lot more momentum behind them, and this is going to get very exciting indeed. So Araki then tries to move over and take the normal racing line. Frage's going for the outside line into turn 3. Serrano's going to try and make it 3 wide as they
they come onto the brakes into the right-hander. No opportunity for any of the drivers making it through on the entry of the corner, but Serrano's got the exit of the corner. Fraga's losing out as well to Quintin Yehul here as we come down the straight in towards turn number 4, and we're still side by side for the race lead here between Araki and Serrano. Then Serrano's on the inside into T4, he's up the inside. Quintin Yehul's getting his elbows out and is now through on Araki, or trying to be at least through that corner. Can't quite make it stick, so it's Serrano, Araki, Yehul, and now Fraga from Viazono.
That was all caused because Serrano and Fraga thought. If they had not fought on that last couple of corners on that last lap, they would have both been clear of Araki and they would have been up the road to him. But of course, because they were squabbling, that all played into Dodge's hands and allowed Araki to sort of stay with his group. And in fact, sort of stay where he was. Second place now to Serrano. He got a little bit greedy though in that last part down at T4. I think he should have tried to sort of come back in a little bit earlier, trying not to fight with Serrano, because that allowed Quintin Yehul a look, which could have quite easily been a place lost for Dodge and Araki. But Igor Fraga's the loser here, down to 4th place now with Takuma Viazono behind him as well. So after our pit stops, it is Porsche from Dodge, from Peugeot, our top 3 at the moment, with Toyota and Subaru 4th and 5th. Igor Fraga looking very close at the back of Quintin Yehul, but not quite getting the same exit speed as the Peugeot driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there would have been a BOP update coming into round 3 after the World Series Showdown, so I do wonder whether that's just changed at the performance index of these cars. Here comes Araki on the inside of Serrano into turn 3, sends it in the Dodge Viper, runs it deep on the corner exit though. Serrano's going to get the supreme traction coming out of that corner on the run down in towards turn 4. We're side by side again with Serrano and Araki. It's Porsche versus Dodge, it's Spaniard versus Japanese, and down in towards the braking zone. Serrano has the inside line, the Porsche driver has the track position, and he holds on to the lead from Araki for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really going to make a move work around the outside there unless you can really get on the throttle earlier. That Dodge does have the legs in the straight line, but not quite enough over the Porsche to get the overcut and sort of slot back in on the inside line. As long as he's being kept on the outside there, Serrano's just going to drive him off to the exit of the circuit and show him where the gravel trap is, which he's entitled to do. It's his line, so it's a tricky one if you're Araki there. Maybe you want to be calming down a little bit though, because lap 12 of 20 lap race, maybe making his lunges now is not the best idea, but we'll see what he does. I mean, I'm interested to see if he can make something work there on Serrano and the Porsche in front, but it's going to have to be something special.
Running on board here with the triple champion, the triple reigning champion, Takuma Viazono, won the Toyota GR Cup last year, won the Manufacturer Series, won the Nations Cup as well, and he currently sits in 5th position at the back of these top 5 drivers. Now we switch on board to the other Japanese driver who is in the quintet of runners as they come down in towards turn number 5, and of course Araki is at the helm of this at the moment. Here comes Yehul with a send on the brakes into turn 3. Into 2nd place goes the Peugeot RC driver. Well, he's only 18 years old. He's only just made his debut in the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships, but with moves like that, he's got a promising future.
Araki there, interestingly, just opting to bump Quintin. I would have just sent it back on him there, to be honest. But that little bump there actually sent Quintin a little bit wide, a bit over speed. He didn't quite expect that. But yeah, good move. The Peugeot driver up into P2 now. And this is what I was sort of wary for Dodge, is they'd end up just taking these lunges and just sort of costing themselves a little bit of time and then opening the door to cars behind. So that's all allowed Jose Serrano a little bit of breathing room at the front. 7 tenths per second doesn't sound like much. When you're used to the guy behind you sitting on your rear wing, it feels like an eternity. So the next guy behind you. So we're on board now with Araki, and you can see in front there now starting to dive across the circuit, chasing the slipstream as we come into the last 2 corners through here. Now, interesting to the difference between the Peugeot and the Dodge through here. You can see just on exit, that rotation, pick on the rotation, that Peugeot just much, much better. It seems like the Araki just pushes out to the exit there in the Dodge and just can't quite get the exit speed. So behind us right now on the circuit is Igor Fraga, 2 tenths behind. You can't quite see him there. He's on the little TV screen at the bottom right, covered by our graphics. So, but he's right behind. This is the thing. One false move in this little train, you can find yourself just being steamrolled to the back of it.
And we're coming towards the closing stages now as well, and these drivers, of course, will have been on these tyres for half of the race by the time they come to the end. Do you think that whoever's managed their tyres better could be in with a shout of making the moves in the closing stages?
I mean, the hard tyres are pretty hardy, funny enough. They will last for a long time, and the performance doesn't really drop off. Now, if you are sliding the car around a lot, there is going to be a difference between you and the guy who hasn't been doing that behind you. So maybe it is worth looking after them to some point, but seeing as everyone did opt to take tyres during this race, I think that it shouldn't be too different towards the end.
So coming through into that middle sector we go once more, and daylight being brought there between the top sort of 5 now. You can see that Serrano's just pulled out a 0.6 of a second advantage, but also Iraqi has pulled out 0.6 over Igor Fraga. So the top 5 just sort of beginning to splinter off into their own sort of separate groups here as well. What do we think that's all about?
Just where everyone's sort of fighting and trying to vie for position. It's natural that that happens, and I mean, these guys are together on circuit, but they aren't really doing very well at the moment. They're the predicted points on the screen, and Mazda, of course, down in P12 with Kokeman, would not move right now. They would stay in the lead just about, but that lead would come down to only 1 point. So this has really been quite a disappointing showing here for Team Mazda.
It certainly has. Into the right-hander we go, and of turn 1, and onto the back straight on the run down in towards turn number 3. You can see Iraqi there once again sits in the slipstream of Quintin Yehul as they come on that run into the right-handed braking zone. You can see that is where Iraqi has pounced so many times, and he looks up the inside of Quintin Yehul. Does he make the move stick? Well, it's a half look there. Didn't manage to make it stick on the corner exit, and I dare say that Yehul got better traction on the exit, but I say that they're now side by side coming on the straight down in towards turn number 4. Yehul has to relinquish position, and Iraqi is through into second place there. So a nicely timed move there from Iraqi. I wondered for a time if he would be able to find his way through, but he managed to get it done.
Yeah, I wonder now, do you settle for second place if you are Yuki Iraqi? I mean, obviously you wouldn't, but there in your brain you've got to think, is it worth me now trying to fight Jose Serrano, who is a little bit quicker, it has to be said, than these guys at the moment, pushing that little bit extra and maybe opening yourself up to attack from Quintin Yehul. Maybe it's worth it, we'll see, but right now at the order stands with a couple of laps to go. So Jose Serrano, the Porsche, in first, Dodge in second with Yuki Iraqi, who's definitely been my pick of the race so far. Great to see Dodge doing so well. We're ready to see him outside inside the top 8, to be honest. And Quintin Yehul of Peugeot in third place. Sorry.
Yeah, Dodge only sitting in 11th in the standings on 2 points so far. And you can see a penalty there being given to Igor Fraga. That is because he has exceeded track limits. That's a penalty that's been awarded automatically, and he's going to lose out here to Takuma Viazono as he comes through turn 1. So it's got him all out of sequence then on the run down in towards turn 3. They're going to run side by side. He's not even come into the penalty zone here yet, Igor Fraga, and yet he's going to lose a position potentially there to Viazono. Into the right-hander of turn 3 we go. He's going to pull off of the racing line, presumably there as well, and he might potentially be under threat here from Beauvoir and Regalado, who are not too far adrift. There is Fraga serving his penalty. Viazono goes through. Where does he emerge back? Because of course the overspeed for Beauvoir and Regalado is going to be very important. Here comes Beauvoir down the inside in the Mercedes. Through into turn 4 they go. Regalado fancies joining the party. Fraga has no room to move it. He's on the gravel. He's out wide, and he's now down into 7th place there. So one simple mistake on the previous lap, costing him 3 positions in the space of half a lap.
I'm laughing there because Beauvoir very much opened the door, and Regalado like, oh, me too, and jumped through, and poor Fraga there, just say 4th to 7th, and that is how close it is round here. Just a half-second penalty for just pushing up a little bit too hard the track limits, and Igor Fraga for Toyota, who was looking like he could have been a competitor for the win, is now down to 7th place. Again, disaster for Toyota, really.
Oh dear for Toyota. They were sitting second in the standings going into the Manufacturers Series at World Series 3, and of course riding on the crest of a wave after that phonetic performance they put in the World Series Showdown recently. Sadly, it's not proven to be double delight for them here in Austria. So down the back straight we go once again on that run in towards turn number 3. It's Porsche from Dodge from Peugeot. If you told me that at the start of the year, I wouldn't have believed you, because we haven't seen these 3 manufacturers fighting at the sharp end for a very long time, least of all with one another.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Porsche have been pretty quick for the last few series now, but definitely Dodge and Peugeot starting to wind it up. Now they've found a couple of drivers who I think are just willing to stay with the brand, with the manufacturer. I mean, you are free to pretty much change at any point at the start of each season, but I think the fastest guys are those that stay in one place and really learn the little characteristics and intricacies of each car. Those are the guys who do well, and that's why we see Serrano and Iraqi and Yehul now really getting the most out of these machines. And here is Iraqi again in 2nd place. He has closed up now to Serrano, so he is getting close, and he'll know that. And this is where the heart rate starts to go a little bit. Right, okay, a few laps to go. I have a chance of winning this race. How do I do it? And usually I find that you don't really count down the laps. You just sort of say, okay, right here, how many opportunities I have left? So maybe 2 a lap. I'm going to have a couple of stabs at it, get close, and then go from there. it's really easy to get inside your own head at this point. And that's when the mistakes come out. So I'll be interested to see how Iraqi deals with this sort of new pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see how he is going to deal with that pressure. Let's see when he is crucially going to pounce as well on that run up the hill and towards that first corner. Very strong on the brakes. Looks that Dodge Viper and Iraqi as well seems to just have whatever it is dialed in very nicely indeed. And I'm very keen to see whether he is going to be able to pounce on Serrano, if he is going to do it before the end of the final lap. Here he goes on the outside into turn number 3. Serrano going for the defensive line there, forcing Iraqi to the curb on the outside, compromising the Japanese driver's exit and just giving Serrano that little bit of breathing room for the time being. So if you're Iraqi, you've got 2 laps left. When do you pounce? And do you only do it once, or do you set up a few dummies?
You can't be doing it on the outside. We know that doesn't work. We know that Serrano can cover that off. He's done it pretty much every time someone's tried it around the outside. He's just sat on the apex and driven out the corner, and the guy behind tends to lose a place. So Iraqi must know that by now. He's been on the receiving end of that a few times, so he's got to try to send him a dummy somewhere and get onto that inside line, get alongside. As soon as he has any amount of that car alongside on the inside, the place is going to be his in this corner if he can get it done. But that is very much easier said than done, given that Jose Serrano has driven an absolutely fantastic race so far at Porsche. He's not put a foot wrong this entire race, and given he's got some of the fastest guys in the world behind him, a lot of pressure, I think that's very impressive there from the Spaniard.
Well, let's not forget, of course, that Peugeot have been slowly making their way up through the field in 2021. They finished 3rd in the World Series Showdown last time out at the expense, of course, of Volkswagen, who ran out of fuel on that final lap in the grand final. So very keen to see whether Quintin Yehul, the young Belgian driver, is going to be able to do anything. Now, this is the run down in towards turn 3 where Iraqi has been so strong on the brakes. That Dodge Viper is an absolute bullet in a straight line, and he is really, really confident under braking. You can see that Serrano knows that on the brakes on the outside. There goes Iraqi. Does he get the move done? They run side by side on corner exit, and Serrano just about holds off the pressure for the time being. But Iraqi certainly getting a bit more intensive than he was last time out, and of course Yehul is ready to try and join the party. Nearly side by side they run down in towards turn 4. Serrano once again going for the defensive line, tries to get the switch back on the inside, doesn't quite make the move stick through there. Yehul's ready to try and get involved here as well, but it's certainly getting a bit more aggressive with these top 3 now.
Yeah, definitely. And Iraqi there put himself really on the wrong side of the circuit. He put himself on the outside for no particular reason, I think, just trying to pressure Serrano, but he has to understand that behind him is this man, Team Peugeot. Quintin Yehul, so fast, and he will take any opportunity he can get. We've seen that already in this race, so he's got to be careful here, Iraqi, if he wants that win. But Serrano is just doing what an experienced driver would do and just putting the car in all the right places, parking on the apex, making it so the guy behind can't get the run out of the corner, and just defending when he needs to. One more lap now separates Team Porsche and win here in World Series round 3, but it's going to be very impressive if he can hold that off.
Final lap time then. The smile from Yuki Iraqi was gone when we saw that picture-in-picture just a few moments ago. On the brakes in towards that first corner we are once more, and Iraqi then is going to try and pounce on Serrano. Serrano was just a tad wide out of that first turn on the run down into turn 3. This is the Japanese driver's favourite overtaking opportunity. Serrano knows that, goes for the defensive line once again, but the overspeed of the Dodge Viper is certainly evident here as they come on the brakes into the right-hander. Yuki Iraqi is going to have no track there. Here comes Quintin Yehul, ready to try and join the party as well. Side by side, they're going to run down the straight in towards turn number 4. So instead of battling for the lead, it's now defending second place for Yuki Iraqi. Let's see whether Yehul is going to be able to make that move stick. Serrano's going for the defensive line ever so slightly. Yehul's on the inside. There's a bit of argy-bargy, bit of elbow bashing between them. Iraqi slots down into 3rd place as Yehul loses traction there. So it was all action stations.
Yeah, Peugeot there. Quintin Yehul did very, very well just to tuck into the slipstream of the Porsche in front, and that's what made the difference there. Although the Dodge is fast in a straight line, he's not fast about the toe, and that means that Iraqi's gone from fighting to the lead down into 3rd place. But with Serrano there, pretty much just did what he's done the last few laps and managed to maintain the lead. A fantastic effort there from a Spaniard.
Fantastic stuff, as you say, Jimmy, for Jose Serrano. That Porsche driver has driven supremely, and great to see Porsche up the sharp end of the field. They won World Series 1 in the Manufacturer Series. It's taken a short while, but they come over the line to win round 3 of the Manufacturer Series. Team Porsche and Jose Serrano are on top here at the Red Bull Ring, from Quintin Yehul for Peugeot and the Dodge of Yuki Iraqi getting their best result of the 2021 season so far. Miyazono, Beauvoir complete the top 5. You can see the final results as you look at the standings now. Serrano from Yehul, from Iraqi, inside the top 3.
Yeah, what could have been though for Team Dodge? So just one misplaced move from Iraqi could have been a win, but still third place, as you say, Tom. That's important points on the board there for Team Dodge. Look out in the bottom of the field though. Ryota Kokuman, Mazda, the points leader, not scoring here today.
And disappointment also for Igor Fraga for Team Toyota. The top 2 in the championship, not ending the race where they would have wanted to. You can see the World Series points rankings on your screen. It's 11 then so far for Mazda, 10 for Toyota, 10 for Team Peugeot now as they sit level pegging for second position. And great to see Dodge finally getting on the board down in 11th place with their points after round 3. Fantastic job in the Manufacturer Series.
A brilliant win there by Jose Serrano representing Team Porsche. And we can speak to him now. Jose, how did that go? How do you feel? Because it felt quite tense.
Sí, la verdad es que ahora mismo estoy por las nubes, ¿no? Era una combinación muy buena para Porsche porque con muchas curvas de tracción pues le va bien y bueno, defendiendo lo imposible pero al final ganando.
It very much felt like about halfway through there was a really big scrap between, you know, like all 5 of you guys who were leading at the front, and it really felt like it could go either way. How did you sort of get the position to stay ahead? Because it was so close.
Pues yo lo he intentado tirar al principio para escaparme del grupo y cuando he visto que Igor Fraga me ha tirado del coche, pues ya a partir de ahí defender cada curva para mantener la primera posición.
Well, it certainly paid off, so huge congratulations, Jose. And you have to go get ready now for the Nations Cup, so I'll let you go. But thank you so much and big, big congratulations. And second place, we're now going to talk to Quintin Yehul, who was driving for Team Peugeot. Quintin, you're quite new in a lot of ways, but you really are, you know, keeping up with some of our, you know, big names here at Gran Turismo Championships. How have you managed to do it?
Well, the Peugeot Group 3 is a really good car. It's basically competitive everywhere, so it's a bit easier to compete, I guess.
You've kind of come out the gates. Everyone's kind of watching what you're doing. Do you feel the pressure when you're racing at home, or is it quite? Do you find it quite easy?
During qualifying, there's some pressure to get a good lap in, but once the race has started, the pressure starts to drop till the end of the race.
And just talk us through what happened at the end of the race, because there was an awful lot going on there. What was it from your perspective that was happening?
Because I pitted on lap 8, my tyre started to go, so I had difficulties keeping up with Yuki and Jose Serrano. But once they started fighting, I could come back into the fight and try to get a position from them.
Well, it certainly paid off, because here you are in second place. That's no mean feat. So big congratulations. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you, Quintin.
Yeah.
Now, in third place, we have Yuki Iraqi, who was driving for Team Dodge. Yuki, how did the race go for you? Are you happy with third?
3位という結果には納得はしていません。1位は取れたと思います。
Okay. What do you think you're going to take away from this race and apply to next time?
バトルに強くなる必要があったと思います。
Okay. And out of all the people you raced against today, who are you most keen to beat next time?
今日は残念な結果だったんですけど、松原の国分選手には次のシーズンでも勝ちたいです。
Well, I love your honesty. This is great. We're starting a grudge match right now. It's brilliant. Well done, Yuki. Huge congratulations. Now, because Tom's not in the studio today, I've managed to sneak into the GT garage for the very first time. You left the window unlocked and I just shimmied and slithered my way through it.
It's a real shame. Security is usually pretty good here, so I'm not sure how they didn't catch that.
Okay, well, look, Jimmy, tell me your thoughts about the race that's just happened. Let's go through it beat by beat.
I think we've got a couple of clips that I think sort of sum up the style and the theme of the race. Okay. First of all, let's look at Mazda, Team Mazda and Ryota Kokuman. He qualified poorly, and then the race just sort of kept going in that vein, going off in a really easy place, a really simple place, losing tons of time and places right at the start of the race, and it just didn't really get any better for him as time went on.
And that's so unusual, because he's usually really strong and he usually delivers. It feels weird to not see him just pushing through.
Yeah, there were, on the driver cam, it looked like maybe he was struggling a bit, so that can happen. Sometimes you get a little bit, caught up with other things, a bit distracted, and he just didn't seem on his proper game today, which, again, as we say, can happen. But it wasn't just him that was struggling, it was Igor Fraga as well. Here is Igor there on the last corner. You might notice a little bit wide there on the last corner, and that was wide enough to pick up a 0.5 second penalty. And here it is. Look how close that is to pick up the penalty there.
And again, it's still, you know, he's sort of come back into GT, but like he just really isn't. We're just too used to seeing him right at the front of the pack and leading it, and so it's so unusual just seeing how he's handling further back.
But what it meant, of course, is that not only Subaru got by there, also Baptiste Beaufoy, Mercedes, and Regalado of Aston Martin both managed to squeeze through after that penalty. So he went from 4th place down to 7th.
Yes, deeply unfortunate. Come on, Igor. I want to see him up the front again, but yeah.
Number one Igor fangirl.
I am a little bit, to be fair.
But you might have noticed in that little video there of Baptiste Beaufoy and Alonso Regalado really close together, and they were basically just bashing into each other for half the race. It had a bit of a squabble. Here was the first move that sort of set that off. So Regalado for Aston Martin up the inside of the Mercedes of Baptiste Beaufoy. A little bit rude in the way by, and Baptiste was all right, a bit of a kiss.
What?
Going through there, a bit of a nudge just to sort of remind him who's soon. Then a bigger nudge the lap afterwards, which actually meant that Baptiste and Team Mercedes picked up a 1 second penalty there for that. But see there, Regalado for the Aston Martin goes wide, so he gets a penalty too.
Unbelievable. And like also just back there, they were so close. Honestly, if they had the windows open, you could have touched each other's faces as they went past, and I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
I reckon they might have done. Probably some COVID regulations around that though. But what that meant is that Sugimori and the Honda sort of got a couple of freebies up to 6th place. So we had a good time, but those guys didn't.
He was having a lovely time. He was like, yeah, you guys do what you need to do. Thanks very much. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think story of the race though probably goes to Jose Serrano and Yuki Araki, because those guys were awesome in this race. In fact, for a while I thought Araki was going to win it because he went from a completely different pit strategy to everybody else. There's Jose Serrano pitting in early.
Yeah.
Araki stays out a bit longer, and I thought, okay, he's done himself dirty here. But here, coming out the pit lane, this is Fraga before his penalty. See, he comes out in the lead. So really good little strategy from him there. But this is where it all came undone. This is the last lap, and Araki going for the race lead, goes to the outside, but Jose Serrano takes the inside, forces him out wide as he's allowed to do. Araki gets a little bit slippy on the exit, and then that allows Quintin Yehul in the Peugeot to sneak up the inside, and he goes from battling to the lead to losing 2nd place and finishing in 3rd.
Oh, it just goes to show, like, one tiny little decision can just totally ruin your day.
It's like high-speed chess, this, and...
High-speed!
Vamos!
I love these so much. He's very excited. He nearly punched the camera. Oh my goodness, his headset came off.
There you go. I think that's a victory punch of the headset. But,
wow. What's your winning victory face like?
I don't really get to win, so it's more of a...
Oh, so like your face now. Well, let's take a look at the standings and how it all played out.
So with round 3 in the books, here are how the point standing looks for the Manufacturers Series, and it's Team Mazda still leading despite scoring nothing today. Same for Toyota as well, with Fraga having a bit of a bad day at the office. Team Peugeot though move it up into 3rd place, tying Toyota for 2nd place, with Team Porsche moving 7th with the whole 3 points, thanks to Jose Serrano's fantastic drive today. And Dodge go up to 3 points, thanks to finishing 3rd.
Right, there's only one place to go after such a thrilling Manufacturers Series race, and well, that's to a thrilling Nations Cup race, obviously. Following all the excitement at the World Series Showdown, the driver standings look a bit like this. Italy's Valerio Gallo is in the top spot, hotly tracked by Japan's Ryota Kokubun and the Spanish pair of Coque Lopez and Jose Serrano. Brazil's Igor Fraga is lurking still, and don't forget that Patrick Blajan failed to qualify for the next 2 rounds of the World Series, so can't increase his points. Well, for a while at least. As you can see, there's never a dull moment in the Nations Cup.
1 millisecond of a mistake and it's gonna make the difference.
To the line then. Oh, Serrano slows on the line. Has he run out of fuel or something? I don't know what happened there.
No me lo puedo creer, macho.
Gallo and Lopez overtake him. Well, that was a very climatic end to it.
En la gran final me quedé sin gasolina porque no calculé bien y se me pasó por la cabeza que había quedado fuera del podio y no pensaba en los puntos de la semifinal.
It was quite shocking to not see Baptiste Beaufoy and Patrick Blajan not qualifying because they were for sure the main rivals of this season. I really wish for them to come back.
セミファイナルレースでまず3位という結果で終えることはできたのですが、その3位という過程に至るまでに後ろの選手たちが非常に詰まっていたので、このままこの順位でゴールできるのかという焦りがありました。
Durante el showdown, sobre todo me llamó la atención la semifinal A, cuando Nikita Moisov nos pasó a todos en box y quedó primero.
I think it went pretty well for me, especially the first race. Honestly, I didn't expect to win.
まずオンラインシーズンで勝ち上がってきた選手が非常に強力であるということと、今戦っているそのワールドシリーズ3と4に出場する選手が非常に強力であるということを改めて感じました。
La World Series 3, la estrategia es fácil, ¿no? Intentar ir a ganar y que salga lo mejor posible.
I feel like that I don't need to care much about the points, even though it gives me some motivational boost. I still need to concentrate myself on the races and finish it at the best, because now we are ending the season. These are the last rounds and I have to be even better than what I did before, and I know all my mistakes and I don't need to repeat it, so that's the first thing to do.
まず勝ったことに喜びは感じていますが、この先も手を抜かずに頑張りたいと思っています。
For the World Series 3 race, we don't know the car and track combination, but I feel very relaxed and prepared to have fun.
So we're all set up for a super competitive race. And I can tell you that our drivers will be racing in the Audi R8 LMS, which is a pretty sweet looking ride in my humble opinion. Let's see how our drivers get on with it during qualifying.
So then, for round 3 of the Nations Cup, we go all the way over to the west coast of the USA, specifically to Willow Springs on the Big Willow layout. Just under 4 kilometres in length. My overtaking spot, I think, will probably be down a T1 if you're feeling a little bit adventurous on the brakes, of course, there into Castrol Corner. As for the car our drivers are going to be using today, they're all going to be using the Audi R8 Group 3 car. Very quick car, very fun and very fast around here as well. Single lap qualifying as always, and these with a standing start as well, so getting off the line is going to be very, very important for that run down the T1. As for tyres, racing medium and soft to be used this time around, and each tyre must be used at least once. So Nations Cup qualifying then at the Willow Springs circuit. Here is Quintin Yehul, the Belgian driver inside the Audi R8 LMS. He was the first of the qualifying group out onto the circuit. You can see taking this very long right-hander into the final corner, and his sectors were absolutely rapid, and we had our eyes peeled on the start-finish times that came across the line, and it was a 108.4, an absolutely rapid time from the Belgian driver. And it was a long time before anyone got anywhere near that. Takuma Viazono was the first person to try. His time, though, was a tenth slower than Quintin, and around this circuit, that is a lot of time. Igor Fraga as well, another big hitter, just a little bit of a mistake there on the final corner, kicking up a little bit of dust, and he'd come across the line to go a provisional third place. Jose Serrano on a high at the moment from his manufacturer's performance for Team Porsche. He also couldn't beat Quintin Yehul at 108.5, but ever closer. And Valerio Gallo, he was almost on to beat Quintin Yehul, but a couple of little mistakes in the last part of the lap meant that he came across the line and just wasn't able to beat Quintin there, 108.4 from Valerio Gallo. But Ryota Kokeman, unfortunately, was in our sights again for the wrong reasons. The Japanese driver just unable to get it together and qualified all the way down in 15th position. So round 3 of the Nations Cup qualifying results look like this. Quintin Yehul taking pole position from Valerio Gallo by 0.02 of a second. Jose Serrano, the winner from the Manufacturer Series race, lines up in P3 with the entirety of the field covered by less than half a second.
Lovely to see that great lap by Quintin Yehul grabbing pole position. But what does that mean for the race itself? Well, let's ask Jimmy.
Olivia, come to the area.
I'm coming.
Virtual track map, we'll have a little chat about it. So, North American fans, you're going to like this track. This is Willow Springs, very fast, very flowing, historic circuit. It's been around since the 50s, 60s, it's been around for a very long time. And as such, hasn't really changed. Lots of very fast flowing corners. What that means is it's quite difficult to overtake. So Rabbit's Ear, of course, T2, really it's just one at a time through there, and the aptly named final corner as well. Again,
I kind of like that. You're never going to accidentally misname it. Just like it's the final corner.
Exactly. For me as a commentator, it's great. I mean, don't really get much of that usually, but it does. The corner sort of lends itself to maybe like a little cheeky move, but then the cheeky move ends up with the person on the outside getting either sent into the pit lane or sent off into the undergrowth.
Who have you got eyes on? Who should be paying attention to?
Well, I got to say, I was quite surprised actually to see Quintin Yehul get the pole position there. Not because I think he's slow. I just think he lacks a little bit of experience. But under pressure there, I mean, he's performed quicker than Valerio Gallo, quicker than Jose Serrano as well. And of course, Takuma Viazono and Igor Fraga. These are big names. Yeah. And he's just out-qualified them. But look how close, as always, it is here. Less than half a second covers the entire grid.
That's crazy. I mean, OK, so like going into it, like, who do you think?
OK, so if I'm going to say anyone, I'm going to say Serrano, just because I think he's got a little bit more racecraft to him than Yehul does at the moment. If not, of course, look for the old hats, look for Fraga, look for Miyazono as well. But they've got to work their way back up through the field, and this circuit doesn't really lend itself to overtaken. And
also Serrano, you know, he's on a bit of a bit of a high now from earlier, so that's got to count for something.
The woohoo, the big boy boots.
That he's won.
Yeah. Great prizes here in GT Sport, big boy boots.
Oh, well, as always, some wonderful words of wisdom and some other stuff as well from Jimmy there. But you can consume more of him and Tom's Cordon Bleu comments on the Gran Turismo YouTube channel. And whilst that's obviously whetted your appetite, please pay full attention now, put your crisps down. It's time for round 3 of the 2021 Nations Cup.
The drivers then are lined up on the grid, ready for the Nations Cup race here for World Series 3 of the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. And it's a newcomer on pole position, Quintin Yehul from Belgium. He lines up at the head of the field with Valerio Gallo, the points leader for company, alongside him. Second row of the grid is headed by Jose Serrano in P3. Then he has got Takuma Viazono, the triple reigning champion, alongside him for company. Then it is Igor Fraga, the 2018 Nations Cup champion, in P5, with Andrew Lee from Australia for company. Next up on the grid, we have Nikita Moisov, the Czech driver who was oh so quick in the Olympic Virtual Series motorsports event earlier this year. Tomoki Yamanaka lines up P8 alongside him. Just inside the top 10, we have Nico Romero, the Spaniard. Not a bad performance then from him so far, with Adam Tapai completing our top 10. And just outside of that top 10 is Lucas Benelli, the second of our Brazilians on the grid here, with Kanata Kawakami from Japan for company. Then next up, it's Adriano Karatza, who was oh so impressive, of course, in the World Tour in 2019, taking the fight to Ryota Kokobun, with Koke Lopez for company alongside him. Then the final of the grid is Ryota Kokobun, difficult qualifying for the Japanese driver, and completing the 16 runners is Angel Inestrosa, the Chilean, lines up at the back of the field. Strategy is going to be important in this one, Jimmy. Soft and medium tyres available for our drivers. What do you reckon?
You'll love me a tyre graphic you can see down the bottom there. Soft, we expect to go a little bit shorter than the medium tyre. They'll be faster when they run it, and of course medium tyre will go a little bit longer, with our top 4 opting to start on the softer compound.
So then, tension is in the air. We're ready for the Nations Cup to get underway. Round 3 of the World Series here at the Willow Springs Raceway. Quintin Yehul on pole position, Gallo alongside. Lights out and we go racing. Good start from Yehul, not bad from Gallo away. Look at Serrano as they come down towards the first corner. Gallo's now side by side with Serrano for second position as they flick it left into the first turn. So it's Yehul from Gallo, from Serrano, from Miyazono, from Fraga as they come through into the right-hander. Any moves being made into there? No, not quite for the time being, but Yehul then gets a good start on the soft tyres. The top 4 leading the way from the medium shot, Fraga in 5th.
Yeah, everybody away well there. Standing start in this car is quite difficult, not really made for it, but these guys, of course, best in the world at GT, so we expect them to do any challenge. We throw them. Fraga there, a little bit wide actually, coming into the mid-sector. Did well not to lose a place there to leave behind. And of course, Fraga is the lead runner on that medium compound tyre, so the more time he can spend ahead of Lee, the better for his race. On board now of Jose Serrano, had a good weekend so far. Got a win last time out in the Manufacturer Series in the Porsche. Now on an Audi, completely different machine, completely different circuit as well, but still Very quick right now on the back of Valerio Gallo as we come now to the long last corner, aptly named the final corner. Very difficult to get the line right around here. Very easy to get off the line and get onto the slippery stuff. And interesting there, Fraga's actually now lost the place to Lee. So Fraga has lost the place to Australian, back into 6th on the medium compound.
Yeah, certainly not able to get those medium tyres up to temperature by the looks of things in the operating window. So Karatza's the first driver to blink then on the medium tyres. He wants to come in and get onto the soft compounds as soon as possible. That's a bit of an unusual strategy. I can't work that out at all. What on earth is Karatza doing at this early stage?
I don't know. Frankly, that I'm not quite sure what that idea is, but if it works out, great, but I don't foresee it working out. But anyway, meanwhile, back to the front 4 as it is now, because Lee is not quite on that lead train. It's Yehul, Gallo, Serrano and Viazono, some massive names up there in the top 4 as well. Quintin Yehul, of course, leading at the moment after his fantastic pole position lap time. But of course, bear in mind these top 5 drivers do have to pop in early onto the medium compound.
Let's have a look then at the race start. So away from the lights, Gallo just wheel spinning the second phase.
Yeah, I mean, easy to do there, but on the inside line, though, it doesn't matter too much, of course. Serrano does look around the outside, but Gallo's going to hit the inside line, takes the place back, and maintains second position.
Gallo just not getting those tyres gripped up as much as he wanted to. On board we ride with Serrano in 3rd position then as they come on to the start of another lap. 25 laps here then in this race. It's going to be very interesting because of course strategy is going to come into play. It's a very short lap here and a very short straight as well. Only just over 750 metres long is the longest straight on this Willow Springs Big Willow circuit. So there's not really an opportunity to slipstream your way past another driver. You've got to sort of pressure them into a mistake in the turns by the looks of things.
Yeah, you just about really get onto the rear quarter by the end of the straight. If you can get there for a move there, great, but it's this middle sector here where you can actually start making some moves because the line is quite a wide entry into the corner. So if you're feeling a little bit ambitious, you can just sort of shut the car into the space that the car in front leaves and hope they open the door for you. Otherwise, it is a very difficult circuit to get through. Here are the point standings if the race ended at the moment. Of course, if you Gallo from Kokubun from Serrano. Kokubun, of course, doing well in both series for Mazda and in Nations Cup here. But as it stands, we'll be gaining no points because we're down in the 14th position.
All of these drivers running nose to tail despite the difference in the tyre compounds here. Just further back in the order, here comes Nico Romero, then on the inside of Tomoki Yamanaka. Yamanaka runs it wide through the final corner. That's an open door for Nico Romero, and the Spaniard is through into P8. Those two have already had a bit of a coming together earlier on in the race. Romero getting a warning on that occasion for the contact. Now running nearly side by side as Yamanaka tries to retaliate down the start-finish straight into the left-hander. There's no opportunity presenting itself, and he's going to have to keep a watchful eye on his mirrors because Adam Tapai is up his inside into turn 3 then. So here comes Tapai going through, so Yamanaka's going backwards at the start of lap 4 then here, and now he's going to have to keep a watchful eye on Lucas Bonelli, who's ready to join the party.
Yeah, super easy to get off line around here. There is very much one fast line around here. Bonelli looks for the move there. There might have been a bit of contact there between Bonelli and Yamanaka because he found himself on the dirty line very quickly there. So Yamanaka now losing even more places. So not a great start for the Japanese driver, but of course there's a lot of time to make those places back. But as you can see around here, overtakes, they're pretty rare unless you get a bump.
Yeah, I think it's kind of akin to what I would call like a Moto3 style race, a motorcycle race. These guys all running so close to one another. It just takes one mistake to go out of sequence and you can lose 3, 4, 5 positions as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got to be very careful when you do choose to go for the move. So lap 4 coming on to lap 5 now for our leaders. Here they are. Yehul, Gallo, Serrano, Viazono on your shot as they come down the straight. Lee is back there as well, also on the soft compound tyre. Just not able to keep the pace of these top 4 at the moment. And right now they're all running nose to tail with not really many ways to get round. There's a great shot there. Just looking at the front right Michelin tyre of Jose Serrano, who's going to run the long right-hander. You almost thought you'd find just Yehul there, but Gallo there, of course, snuck in between because that's just how close these guys are right now. Literally at the moment, it's about 0.6 of a second to separate first to fourth.
It's so close between them. There is Andrew Lee. You can just see in the background in 5th position as they come over the crest of the hill. This is the corner that's so difficult to get right because the circuit really drops away from you, and there's so many different lines around this track that seem to work, some that don't seem to work as well. And you can see drivers just trying them out, seeing where the limits of the circuit are. And of course, unlike more modern circuit, if you look at other tracks up and down the globe now as well, there's no tarmac runoff here. You're straight off into the sand dune, so a mistake is very, very costly.
Yeah, it's also about rhythm around here. Like you can be fast through the first part of a sector by taking a different line, but then that'll compromise you for the last part of the sector. Like for example, the last corner has a very, very late apex, you can choose to take an early one and get a really good run for the first part, but then you compromise yourself down the straight. So it's a little bit tricky that way. Gallo looks for a move, can't quite get it done. You can see what I mean by just not quite having the toe down the straight to get anything done. They have to have a really good run out of the last corner to get that move become a possibility. But right now, Yehul doing all the things he needs to do to keep the Italian behind him. Reminder, of course, there is a mandatory pit stop in this race. Both every driver has to use 2 compounds of tyre, both the medium and soft, as you can see in the top right-hand corner there. And they'll have to make a stop for that at some point during the race. Whether they'll choose to try and run along on their soft tyre remains to be seen.
I was just about to talk about that, because if you're the likes of Takuma Viazono, who are riding on board with, I know it's early doors in this race, but are you going to be thinking about strategy at this point? Are you going to be thinking, well, I can't get ahead of them at the moment, so maybe I can try and undercut them on track?
Possibly, you know, I mean, you're always thinking this as a driver when you're out there. You're always trying to find a way to outsmart your competition, because at this point, you're also equal on driving skill, and there has to be sort of an external factor that comes in there, and that'll be strategy in this case. And again, just look at the varying lines for the last corner. Viazono takes a bit of a later apex there, but the exit speed isn't quite as quick as Serrano in front. But yeah, I mean, if I'm Viazono, there's not really much to lose by taking an early pit stop, because you aren't going to pass these guys on circuit unless there's some sort of instant up ahead, which that can happen as well. I mean, you see there on the inside of his right hand is a big old ramp, so if someone gets biffed out wide there, they might be they might catch some air.
Yeah, a bit of dirt tracking here perhaps in California. This circuit, of course, as Jimmy was mentioning in qualifying a few moments ago, it's quite an old track, and it's very characteristic of the racing which spawned it as well. Very fast, very flowing, not many big braking zones. In fact, no real big braking zones at all on this track, so there's no opportunities to sort of send it on the brakes. You've got to carry that rhythm, carry that momentum.
It's just because old brakes didn't work, basically. It's like, what do you say, like having a biscuit tin? Biscuit tin lids.
Milk bottle tops or biscuit barrels.
Yeah, they weren't the best brakes back in the day. Of course, these modern brakes are insane. I had the opportunity recently to actually sit in a modern GT3 car and go around a lap. And the brakes in that thing, they'll take your neck off, they really will.
Especially yours.
Yeah, my small gamer neck.
You're a bona fide racing driver now, Michael. On board here we are with Nikita Moisov. He has got Igor Fraga, the 2018 champion, in front of him. Then out of the final turn we come now. A scratch of the nose there for Fraga, as he's looking pretty calm at this stage. Of course, he's the lead medium shod runner. And speaking of medium shod runners, Lopez Kokoban coming into the pit lane then at the start of lap number 8. So they're deciding to go and change over to the soft compound of tyre, making their mandatory pit stop earlier than everybody else. What do you think the thought process is behind that?
Try something different, really. I mean, you're so far down the order at this point that just following everybody else around isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to try something a little bit different. Maybe it isn't quite the conventional strategy, but Lopez and Kokoban opted to go very early into that soft compound of tyre. It'll work for them for a bit, but I have a sneaking suspicion that by the end of the race, those soft tyres are going to be well beyond their shelf life and just be sliding around and losing time.
Well, tyre consumption's only at 3 times, but the thing is, you're leaning on the sides of the tyre for so long because they're such long, fast corners here. I imagine the front tyre's going to be absolute toast by the end.
Look, we're doing 265 Ks into this left-hander. That front left tyre is getting absolute, just getting punished through here. So you can imagine how much wear is going through there as well. And of course, the T2 again is a very long right-hander, so the front left tyre around here just gets eaten. So I don't really foresee those soft tyres lasting that amount of time. Viazono then on board with him again, just the same position he was last lap, not really able to do much here apart from just follow the cars in front. And that sometimes is just racing. You have to just make sure you're in a position to make the move when the opportunity presents itself. But sometimes being in that position just involves you just doing laps behind the car in front.
Finelli into the pit lane, then onto the soft compound tyre. He's quite far down the order, sitting outside of the top 10 at this particular point. The top 4 drivers still running bumper to spoiler at the moment. Through the right hand we go. A little bit wide there for Quintin Yehul, but nothing to worry about at this stage. He's just got to keep it calm. I have to say, it's such a phenomenal display. As you mentioned in qualifying, Jimmy, his time was absolutely supreme, but just the maturity that he's demonstrating in his racecraft out on track is really beyond his years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of pressure to undertake when you're a young lad. We keep saying that, but he's doing a good job. And I think that in this regard, we just treat him as a fellow racer, because that's how well he's doing. Here's Gallo, of course, someone who's been a familiar name if you're into your Gran Turismo esports. He's been winning pretty much everything for the last year or so, and here again now looking quite fighty, and Quintin will be aware of that. See, a lot of these guys, they practice together online. They know each other very well. They're all part of quite a tight-knit community, but when it gets onto the circuit, that sort of goes away. And it becomes just pure competition, which is why commentating on these races is so fascinating, because there's that sort of different level of, again, there's friendship and then there's just pure competitiveness. So Gallo will know what Quintin Yehul has done around here, Yehul will know what Gallo has done around here in terms of lap time, and they'll both be looking at that as the race goes on.
And I'm quite glad as well that we don't have the hard tyre in this race, because it's a bit of a moot point really. We don't really see drivers using it for more than one lap if there's not a minimum time that they have to use those tyres for. And as such, I think it's going to provide us with closer racing, but also just a bit less in terms of, oh, they stuck the hard tyre on, they're going to come back in after a lap or so. It makes it a bit sort of repetitive, whereas this could add a bit more variety into the mix.
Yeah, we'll have to ask our friends at Michelin to re-spice the hard tyre to get it up there. But yeah, the medium and soft tyre definitely have their place in this race as we come on to lap 11 now, getting towards the midway point, and this is where mistakes might start creeping in, especially as because it get a little bit chill. So what's happened here? No, there's Coque Lopez deciding, oh, that's his pit stop. All right. Well, that's fair enough. I think his pit crew are like, what are you doing?
It wasn't intentional, though,
yeah,
was it?
I don't think he meant to, but that's the downside, I suppose, of this circuit. Is if you get onto the gravel and exit, you sort of just go where the car goes. You can't really control it. The car goes, well, it's time for a pit stop, mate. And now up behind Lucas Benelli. So Kawakami and Inestrosa all come into the soft tyre now. Ninth and above have not yet stopped.
So yeah, the 4 drivers left on medium tyres: Fraga, Moisov, Romero and Adam Tapai. Let's see when they opt to come into the pit lane. Will they do it as a quartet, or will they opt to split their strategy? They're going to be working together to try and get as far forward as they can at this point, and then deciding to try and break away a little bit later on, or will they decide to work as individuals rather than as a team? Through the final corner we go then. Here is Nikita Moisov. We got back to the battle. He's really close up the back of Igor Fraga over the last couple of laps or so. The gap was about half a second when we last looked at it, and now it's very much less than that, you can see, as we ride through that final corner now. Does anybody go into the pit lane here at the end of this lap? Fraga goes in, Moisov follows suit. I don't know if he was going to do that until he saw Fraga opting to dive in late in.
It's the old IndyCar / NASCAR tactic, isn't it? Sort of try and feign the pit stop, so the guy behind just did the same thing. But didn't work. Igor Fraga coming in onto the soft compound tyre. No fuel. Actually, he might need to splash of fuel. No, he doesn't. He's all right to the end, it seems there. So 60 litres to get to the end of the race, and here comes the second pack of cars, and Fraga's right out in the middle of them. And if you're, they caused a bit of a traffic jam there coming out the pit lane, and Fraga's just about as bunched up. Benelli's like, nice, okay, thanks for that, Eagle. I appreciate that, mate. I'm off. And Eagle there asking a little bit of a rear gunner for his fellow Brazilian.
On the inside there is Coque Lopez versus Nikita Moisov then going up the inside. So Moisov on the colder tyres has now lost the position to Igor Fraga effectively. Of course, Lopez pitting earlier on in that race with that very last minute pit stop that we saw just a few moments ago. So now Moisov is behind Lopez, and as such now behind Fraga, so it's not worked out at all for the Czech driver at this stage. Now the top 4 running down the start-finish straight, still running spoiler to bumper, or bumper to spoiler I should say rather, as they start lap 13 out of 25. All the drivers now are on the soft compound of tyre in this race. Only the top 5 have not made their mandatory pit stop here so far. Let's see how those soft tyres are going to be doing. Let's see whether we're going to get any pit stops towards the end of this lap. If you're Serrano and Viazono, do you think you just follow suit, play it safe, and then just try and strike at the end of the race?
Maybe. I mean, but how do you strike so far? Do you think these guys just go together in the same order for the last 13 laps? So what can you do?
Big sense.
Yeah, big sense, but big sense usually end up in big crashes, especially around here at Willow Springs, and you know how hot these stewards are. Any sort of contact, they're going to give you a bit of a channing off for it. So yeah, it's risk versus reward. So often is in racing, as we come now through the last part of the course. Interestingly, Yehul quite quick through the last part of the sector there, and then a little bit of a gap there between him and Valerio Gallo. I reckon that will come back on the straight, but great to see these drivers, of course, all from different countries, all different parts of the world, running so closely on circuit. And interestingly now, Viazono opting to be the first person to come before he might do this, try and get the undercut, as it's known, and get out there in clear air. But if these guys respond quick enough, that might not work.
The thing is, as well, for Viazono, it's going to work out quite nicely because Lee's coming to the pit lane here. So these two are going to be at the same distance as they were before the pit lane, but also, crucially, they're far enough ahead of the rest of the field who've already made their pit stops to not emerge in traffic. You can see that there is a rider on board with 7th place Lucas Benelli. He's the lead runner who made their pit stops in the early stages. Here comes Fraga, his compatriot, down the inside into the first corner. Fraga goes through into 7th place. Nicely done there, gets the move made. opts to cut off the line, doesn't allow Benelli an opportunity. The 2018 Nations Cup champ is through into P7 with some nice clear track in front of him at last.
It was a very sure move, wasn't it? He was taking that position where Luke was going to give it to him or not. That's how you got to do it. Be nice and definitive with your moves. Don't allow any space for a comeback. Here is Serrano though on board still, so these three still out on the same tyres they started on. Viazono and Lee behind, opting to come in a bit earlier. Will we see them all now peel to the left-hand side of the circuit into the pit lane? Now watch up ahead, who's in front? There's Yehul, there's Gallo. They put all in then, all into the pit lane, all at the last possible moment, all on the same sort of similar level of fuel, and all onto the medium compound tyre.
They had to do that though, didn't they? If they'd stayed out on those tyres, they'd have been so much slower than the other two drivers who have made their pit stops so far, and they would have lost time. Let's see what is going to happen as they emerge back out on track then, on to the medium compound of tyre. Where do they emerge? It's very close indeed. Yehul is in the lead from Gallo, from Serrano, from Viazono then.
Exactly the same order, basically. So that worked out all right if Yehul, Gallo and Serrano. Viazono though, of course, his tyres are upper temperature. Now, of course, just like real life, these slicks do take a few corners to get upper temperature, and I've experienced what cold slicks are like. It's like ice for the first couple of laps compared to the grip we're used to. So these guys are going to be a little bit slower, but again, what's Viazono going to do? He can't really find a way around it. It's very much one at a time for this first sector. So by the time you can get to a place where you can overtake around here, the tyres are upper temperature and that advantage is gone.
I suppose the advantage for Yehul and Gallo here at this point, and Serrano as well for that matter, who made their pit stops, is this circuit is pretty frenetic. There's a lot of fast corners, so it's easier to get heated to the tyres quicker, I suppose, rather than going out onto a more modern circuit where you've got a really long straight. Those tyres are going to be cooling down more than they would be when you're putting energy through them.
Yeah, that and just the middle sector, as you say, is very tight, very twisty. There's only one line through it, so there's nothing people can really do to make the move, even though they do have the tyre advantage. So on to lap 15 there, as we come down the straight, there's Yehul and Gallo there. On your screen to the left, you can see the different driving styles, and Gallo a lot lower down in his seat there than Quintin Yehul. There's not really a right answer to how you should sit in your seat or how you should drive. It's basically just what's comfortable for you. Although I'd say that my chiropractor might argue that when he sees me drive.
There is a right way to do strategy though, and I think Adriano Karatza has got that very wrong indeed. He's just come in for his second pit stop then, so opted to go for a two-stop strategy when everybody else around him has done a one-stopper. He's going to be on the soft tyres, they're going to be quicker, but he's 10 seconds off the back of the field. There's only 9 and a bit laps remaining, so I can't understand the thought process there for Adriano Karatza. It was worth a try to try something different, but I don't think that was it.
Maybe it's just pit crew appreciation day for Karatza. Come in, say hello. Good job, guys. Do it again. But yeah, that's objectively not it. So Karatza is probably going to be doomed to finish down in P16 and last from now, unless something absolutely ridiculous happens. Sometimes it does. You never know. We're on board now with Viazono for this last one. You can hear the tyres there. Don't sound very happy, do they, going through that long right-hander?
If you made a noise like that, I'd send you to the doctors.
Well, they turn me off when I do on the old headset. So, but here is Quintin Yehul again. You see Gallo starting to get a little bit closer towards the end. So I think the Italian's just trying to figure out how he can maybe cut down that last half a car length and just get onto the rear spoiler of Quintin. Because all I've said, all you've got to do is be somewhere near the car in front, and then they'll see you, and just them being near like that is enough to maybe force a mistake.
It's going to be so frustrating when you're just sat there on the rear wing of somebody for the entire race, knowing that you can get past them, but you just haven't had the opportunity to.
Patience is a virtue in that opportunity, that scenario though, because sometimes you just things are a bit rash, you get a bit frustrated, and that's when the mistakes and the contact happens. So it's all about keeping your mind in check in that scenario, as we see a snake of cars there, all the way down to P15, and so all the way down to the last place, but Karatza's somewhere in the background. So these are the guys that
San Diego, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, he's different state, bless him. But here's Yamanaka now. You can see in front of Jordan Kokubun, someone who is we expect to be a bit further, finished first in the showdown event, so really on a bit of a high, but then coming to this event, it's just not done too well at all. Here's Yamanaka there into the last right-hander, and a little bit of a biff there. Off goes Kokubun. See you later, mate. Into the corner pocket. Goodbye. And in the background as well. Yeah, in a Strozer. So it's all kicked off there in the midfield. But I was just saying, Yamanaka has got great respect for Kokubun there, but that looked like contact. And yeah, Karatza's not going to come last now.
I suppose that's something. Let's have a look and see what happened then. So here we are coming through in towards the middle sector of the lap. This is Moisov on the inside of Lucas Benelli. Bit of contact between those two coming into there. This is earlier on in the race. So we saw an overtake for position that was for P7 at that point. We didn't see what happened though with Ryota Kokubun, but goodness me, I mean, I don't know how far out of the circuit. He needed a ticket to get back in, he was so far out the track, didn't he?
You never want to laugh at someone's demise. That was a comical off. Like, he just picked up speed and that's it done. But look at that. That's a real shame for Ryota though. Like, again, to finish first in the Showdown event and to come here for round 3 of the World Series and just get sent is a real shame. But we'll see if the stewards think of that. It might have just been a mistake on his behalf. But meanwhile, the fight goes on at the front of the field. Top 5 drivers on that medium compound tyre. Again, Lee doing really well. Still there in 5th place. This is not someone we're used to seeing in the top of the order here, but doing really well.
Yeah, no, fantastic job from Andrew Lee. Just want to go back to Ryota Kokubun a second.
Oh! There's a little bit of a slide there from Yehul and Gallo. I'm not sure if that was contact there. Yehul getting sideways. I think he just picked up the grass on the entrance to the corner there. And Gallo sneaked through into the lead so quick that we didn't see it almost. I just think, I just caught the end of that he got onto the dust when braking and the car just snapped away from him. And then you can see that changes how they predicted points will be now, with Gallo having a 5-point lead over Kokubun in the standings if the race ended now.
And of course Kokubun's not going to score any points as a result of that contact and that trip into the scenery there. Let's see if we can piece together what happened. This is Kokubun versus Lopez. There's going to be somebody, I think, on the inside. We didn't see who it was. There was definitive contact. Was it Miyazono?
I think it was Yamanaka.
Oh, Yamanaka, sorry.
Something happened there. Here he is now, of course, all on his lonesome at the back of the field. But I'd be interested to see a replay of what happened with Yehul and Gallo there. I think he just caught the grass on entrance. Easy to do there, but that just shows you one mistake after 19 laps of leading, and that's you down into P2 with seemingly no way to get back up into the lead.
Well, let's see what's going to happen then. Over the timing line we go once again. So 5 laps now remain of World Series 3, and Yehul has got the bit between his teeth. Pulls alongside Valerio Gallo down the start-finish straight into the first corner. Gallo's got the inside line. He's got track position, uses all of the width as he's entitled to do so. Yehul tries for the outside line. He's going to have to keep an eye on Jose Serrano, who's going to try and send it through up the inside here. So Yehul is certainly looking like he wants to get himself back into the lead before too long, but the thing is, he's got to be so careful about when he decides to strike, because Serrano, Miyazono, they're ready there for the taking. Here's Fraga on the inside of Andrew Lee, so Fraga opting to start the race on that medium compound of tyre, now on the soft, has really paid dividends for him as he moves himself up inside the top 5 for the first time in a long time.
I just don't think it's going to be enough for Fraga to catch that first 4 drivers though, because whilst the tyre is quicker, it's just not quite quick enough to get there. His angle in the Strohs, so what happened here? So there goes Kokubun off into the undergrowth, never to be seen ever again.
I think he did it on his own, you know. I don't think there was contact from what I can see from that camera angle. That's Inestrosa just going wide through there, carrying a bit too much corner speed.
Yeah, so Inestrosa there making the mistake on exit and just losing a couple places there. But oh, and Yehul again. There you go, onto the grass again. So really on the ragged edge now is Yehul. You have to think maybe he's burnt his tyres trying a bit hard. That allows Serrano just a little bit closer. But we're starting to see a few mistakes creeping in now from the Belgian driver. That's allowing Gallo a little bit of breathing room, and it's sort of giving a message to Jose Serrano saying, you know what, mate, the second place might be on if you fancy ascent.
Well, this is going to get very exciting, isn't it? 4 drivers running as close to one another as you could suggest. Throw a blanket over them, they're that close as they come down in towards this left-hander, and it's advantage Valerio Gallo, who I remind you leads the point standings at the moment. He was on 12 points going into this World Series 3 event, and he's going to be on 15 points, of course, with Kokubun failing to score crucially as well. Only 3 points on offer for the top 3 positions, and they are going to count hugely in terms of what it will mean for the later World Series events, and of course the World Finals as we get through into the latter part of the year in the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Now, on board we ride here with Takuma Viazono, the face of concentration from the reigning champion as he comes through the right-hander. Jose Serrano, though, is kind of picky in the middle at this point.
Yeah, at the moment, there's not much he can do apart from just hope there's no mistake up in front of him. Although I said Miyazono isn't quite close enough to pressure the Spaniard. We both know from the last race that Jose Serrano absorbs pressure like a sponge. He really just didn't feel anything in the manufacturing series, and here I think doing the same. There is Lee losing another place, this time to Nikita Moisov. They're down to 7th place now. Looks like the early charge of Lee just wasn't quite enough to give him the gap to now the soft runners coming back through. On that, Fraga has gained half a second on Miyazono in front of him on that last lap, but it's, again, unless there's some sort of big fight or shuffle at the front here, it's probably not going to be enough to get him within the first 5.
Oh, a bit of a slide there from Yehul coming through the right-hander. Just loses a fraction of time now to Valerio Gallo. That gap sitting at just under half a second or so. Of course, going onto the straight, that gap will come down and then it will increase again in the latter part of the lap. So It's really interesting to see how this is all going to play out. It's a bit of a guessing game at this point as to who's going to end up where, because it's just one simple error, one simple mistake can cost you very, very dearly indeed. We're coming towards the business end of it now, though, and if drivers are going to be making their moves, they're going to have to think about it before too long, because the checkered flag will be out before they know it.
That's right, so lap 23 now of this 25-lap race being started. It's Valerio Gallo leading from Quintin Yehul, who led the vast majority of this race, only to give it away with a tiny mistake at T1. Behind them, Jose Serrano, the winner from the Manufacturers Series earlier with Team Porsche, doing really well here, showing just how adaptable he is by jumping in a completely different car, a different circuit, and running at the sharp end. And behind him, Takuma Viazono, of course, as you said, triple champ from last year. So pretty stacked first four. And if there is a mistake, then guess what? 2018 champion and racing driver Igor Fraga just waiting in the wings behind. So I think the strength of field in these GT esports events is pretty nuts.
He's closed that gap down as Igor Fraga, now down to 3 seconds or so. So if these four do start squabbling with one another, it'll be a welcome sight for Fraga. I think it's going to be a bit too little too late unless there's a frenetic bit of contact between some of these competitors out on track, which we have seen. We saw that, of course, with Cockburn earlier on in the race. We saw it with Nico Romero, who was handed a penalty earlier on for colliding with another car as well. And let's hope that we don't see that, but if we do, we know that Fraga will be there to try and pick up the pieces. Of course, he'll be quicker than these four drivers, being on the softer compound of tyre. Now Gallo goes defensive, Yehul goes for the outside line in towards the first corner, but Gallo's got the overspeed, breaking that slipstream into the first turn. We're on the start of the penultimate lap. It's advantage Valerio Gallo at this stage.
Those little things are like breaking the toe. It just forces Yehul back into Serrano, because Yehul didn't chase him across the circuit there, so for that little amount of time, he's not getting the toe, he's not getting the extra straight line speed advantage that gives. Whereas Serrano behind, he's playing the game, he's right on the toe, and it allows him to gain a little bit. So, Miazono there just messing up his braking zone. So just like that, four become free as we come into the last couple of laps now. But see Gallo there trying to control the race from the lead. This is the sort of level of knowledge and competition that we expect from an Olympic Virtual Series champion.
So down the hill, in towards the final corner we go. It's advantage Valerio Gallo as we get ready to come into the final lap then. On board we are with Jose Serrano. Yehul going for a wider line on the entry into that corner, trying to get the overspeed there, but he's going to lose a bit of time here because Serrano's right up his rear wing. As they come through that final series of corners, you can see Serrano there on the power, off the power, trying to get onto it now. Bit wide there for Yehul. That's going to allow an opportunity here for Serrano as they come down the start-finish straight. Serrano's on the inside, Yehul is on the outside. Yehul's down to third place as Serrano goes through into P2 at the start of the final lap then.
Two mistakes, 2 places lost by Quintin Yehul. He's going to have a little look at Serrano, try the outside line here. That's not going to work, mate, I'm afraid. Camber's on the inside, you're just going to understeer as he does. And Quintin Yehul must be so frustrated with himself, because that's 2 very minor mistakes, but that's cost him not only the lead, but now second place as well.
Having a look up the inside into that left-hander, but I don't think he's going to be able to find an opportunity unless he does into this right-hander. Here comes Yehul up the inside. Is there contact between himself and Serrano? A smidgen, I think, but Serrano holds firm, holds the line, holds second position as they come through into the left-hander. So it's Valerio Gallo who's got this one sewn up as it stands now. All he needs to do is just drive his race to the final series of corners, and there's nothing that Serrano and Yehul are going to be able to do. Serrano goes defensive here for second position. Yehul tries to go for the outside line here as well. Keep an eye out on Miazono in the background as we come through into the final series of corners. Yehul going for the outside line once again. Here comes Miazono on the inside of Yehul. Gallo's going to win the World Series here at the Big Willow Springs Raceway, and Serrano comes over the line in second, Yehul in third, Miazono in fourth. Well, a frantic end to that race, and a brilliant drive, a mature drive, a champion's drive from Valerio Gallo. Once again, the World Series delivers in the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Valerio Gallo finishing on top from Jose Serrano and Quintin Yehul. Takuma Viazono in P4 there as well. Some big hitters, though, further down the order than they'd like.
Yeah, we had Cockburn, of course, who is second in the standings, now loses even more ground to Valerio Gallo, finishing last after, let's say, exploring the undergrowth, I think is the kindest term of saying there.
Well, let's take a look then, shall we, at those standings and see what it means after World Series 3. And you can see that Valerio Gallo sits atop of the order, 5 points now ahead of Cockburn, who fails to score, and likewise Serrano getting on the board there and getting himself up into third place, equal points now with Cockburn as well. You can see Quintin Yehul getting himself onto the points rankings down in 14th position, but some big hitters in that race mean it's going to be very exciting as we come into the latter part of the year.
Oh, wow, what a great race from Valerio Gallo from Italy. Valerio, how are you doing? That was pretty well played out. Not too bad.
Hello, Julia. Hello, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a very intense race.
Yeah. I mean, Valerio, it seemed like all of you guys in the front of the pack were making some really similar choices, really similar decisions for most of the race. But then, around about, I think it was about lap 19, you went straight in and got the lead and kept it. How come your strategy was better? Was it better?
I think not. We were on the same strategy, basically. But the thing is that I wanted to save tires for the first stint. And then to come out still on the pack and try to still save tires for the second stint until Quintin had a mistake. Obviously, leading is not that easy, so I tried to use that moment also to get in the first place. Also because on this track, it's not that easy to overtake. And yeah, also I tried to defend as much as I could. I know it was also hard to keep the car on control because the tires were spinning. And also the track, because it's very limited. So you can go 1 inch off and you take the sand, you can make mistake. So, yeah.
Well, it all paid off in the end. But I do actually have one question that I've always kind of wanted to ask, which is, even when you have a really intense race and, you have to really concentrate hard, is it still fun?
Absolutely. And that's why I say, for example, this race was one of the most enjoyable races. For sure, I hope that also the other guys enjoyed it, because for sure, also the car-track combination that was kind of not usual. So it was kind of fun, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and huge congratulations, Valerio. Well done.
Grazie, ragazzi. Thank you, guys.
Next up, we're going to be talking to second place, Jose Serrano. Jose, how did you find that?
Pues la verdad que estaba muy cómodo detrás de Quintin y Valerio. Y nada, estaba esperando a que fallase alguno y en la penúltima vuelta ha fallado Quintin y lo he pasado.
I mean, it looked incredibly intense. How did you kind of keep your concentration all the way through? Because it really could have gone either way to any one of you.
Pues confiar en los demás, ¿no? Porque yo sabía que el nivel es altísimo y aparte estos pilotos no suelen fallar, así que estaba tranquilo porque sabía que no iba a pasar una locura.
Well, Jose, you did amazingly well to come in second. And you've already got, I mean, how many things do you need to win in a day? You can't have every single one, but congratulations.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. Now we're going to go over to third place, Quintin Yehul. Quintin, how was that race for you?
Kind of disappointing after starting on pole position, but it was really close between me, Valerio and Jose, so I can't really complain with a P3.
I mean, you're right, it's incredibly close. It really could have gone either way. What do you think was sort of the little things that led to you not coming in first place? What do you think happened?
On lap 18 or 19, I clipped the gravel on entry of turn 1, which meant Valerio got past, and from there on, I was kind of struggling to get used to the slipstream, so it was difficult to try to fight back.
I mean, everyone has got eyes on you, Quintin, I have to say. The other guys were just so impressed with, your speed and your pace in the qualifying. I think they were kind of intimidated a little bit. So, I mean, that's an important thing.
Yeah, I was myself really surprised with that lap. It felt really good, so it was nice to be on pole position.
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously got the pace, you've obviously got the speed, and you're just going to have to smash it next time, Quintin, all right?
Yeah, hopefully.
OK, well, look, big congratulations, and we'll talk to you really soon.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, there's loads to discuss after that brilliant race. Jimmy, what do you think? I mean, there's a lot to kind of pick up on. It was very tense. I feel very tense after that.
Kind of tense and a little bit confusing in places, I think. And when I say confusing, I'm referencing Karatza at the start of the race. So
help me, I don't understand what went on.
He comes into the pits right at the start of the race, going for the soft compound of the tyre. Actually, whilst this was happening, we heard in his driver cam him saying, oh no, it's taking too long. So I think he was going for some sort of big brain strategy. but it didn't work out.
No, not at all.
Nor for Coque Lopez, who decided to try and go rallying on the last corner there. And I thought, well, I might as well pit then. Came in the pits for a fresh set of tyres. But it just kind of goes to show that last corner there, because there's no runoff. If you just put a wheel in the grass, you're in the pits. That's where you go.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's interesting that Karatza was like trying to implement like some kind of like whole new strategy. That's interesting. We have seen some weird ones over the years, but that's probably the weirdest.
Yeah, it didn't work for him though.
No.
But I tell you, had another awful race. Unfortunately, Ryota Kokubun, of course, in Manufacturers Series, he messed up there. And here again in Nations Cup, she just gets onto the dirty line there. And when you get onto the gravel, you just accelerate. You're just gone.
Where's he going?
He's never coming back.
No.
That's shades of Julia Hardy there on the sim rig.
I mean, that's literally what happens when I try and race fast in Gran Turismo. It's pretty, yeah, textbook Julia style.
As you pointed out, though, at least he finished. But he did finish last, unsurprisingly, after that. But the main fight was at the front of the field. And it all started off with this. Here's Igor Fraga. And the reason we picked him out here is because he's on the medium compound tyre. He was the first of the medium runners. But his strategy went down the toilet as soon as Lee got by. He was in the soft compound. It sort of just held him up. There was no way by for him. So realistically, it was between these four guys, Yehul, Gallo, Serrano and Miyazono. And Yehul kept the lead for a long time until this moment. There was a bit there from Gallo, but not enough to send him round. He just got onto the grass, braked, and the car snapped loose. He did really well to save it, but he did lose the place to Valerio Gallo. But that wasn't the end, unfortunately, of his mistakes. Coming onto the penultimate lap here, gets onto the grass again, slows himself down onto the main straight, and Serrano takes opportunity. Gallo comes across, he uses that toe and back up into second place goes Serrano. So in 2 laps, Yehul loses 2 places.
Yeah, that was, I mean, you could see they were waiting for their moment, but it really could have gone either way. All it takes is that one little mistake, and you can see it here now, even like in Gallo's face. That looks like he's serious tension release there, just over.
Yeah. Thank God. I mean, he was kind of handed that victory by a mistake from Yehul there. But it doesn't matter how you win.
But that's it. It's about you not making mistakes, but it's about, you know, it's all of those things together. About you driving well, but then not making mistakes. You know, and that's all of it. But yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff. Why don't we take a look at actually how this is going to shake out when we're going to look into the point standings, of course, what's been happening this year so far.
So round 3 then, done and dusted for the Nations Cup, and here's how the points standing look. Valerio Gallo still at the top of the table with 15 points. Ryota Kokubun, thanks to his strong performance in Showdown, still in second place, but of course not scoring here today. Serrano goes up into third with a good points pool, and Yehul gets onto the leaderboard finally, but he is down in 14th place. But at least he's on the board now.
What a most excellent day of racing we've had in the 2021 Gran Turismo Championships. Let's join Jimmy for the podium ceremonies.
Thanks, Julia. First of all, it's a podium for today's Manufacturers Series race. In third place, it's Yuki Araki representing Team Dodge. In second place, it's Quintin Yehul representing Team Peugeot. And the winner of round 3 of the Manufacturers Series is Jose Serrano representing Team Porsche. Congratulations, Jose Serrano and Team Porsche. Now it's time for the national anthem of our winning manufacturer from Germany. And well done once more to Jose Serrano and Team Porsche for their impressive victory.
Wow, what a great performance, and congratulations to Jose Serrano. We're moments away from the Nations Cup podium, but ahead of that, there's just enough time for Jimmy to offer up some suggestions for Michelin Driver of the Day. So, Jimmy, our loyal audience are out there, but maybe they need a bit of steering in the right direction. Oh, what are your suggestions? Don't. I feel like because Tom's not here, I've got to like make up for the punning.
I really hate that. But I don't know why I give you suggestions. You all just ignore them anyway. But so 3 that come to mind, of course, Jose Serrano, really great day for him. Won the manufacturers, second, of course, in Nations as well. Very strong, so always an easy bet. Secondly, I'll say Yuki Araki for the Dodge, because those guys have not been on the podium forever and they're out of nowhere for place. And actually contending for the win as well, so really decent from him.
Some may say they have been dodging it. All right, give us your last one. I'm going to stop tomming all over you.
I need a new job, man. But so, and third, I'd say, of course, Quintin Yehul. I know we mentioned him a lot, but the main reason I've mentioned him this time is because his qualifying time for Nations Cup was only 7,000th off his time trial time, which is just a ludicrous achievement.
That's amazing. Mine just exponentially increases times 10 when people watch. So anyway, thanks, Jimmy. You better kind of pop off now because you've got to get ready for the podium ceremony. I hope you've got a tuxedo with you. But anyway, so as Jimmy goes out of earshot, do feel free to ignore all of his suggestions for Michelin Driver of the Day, but do please go to the Gran Turismo Facebook, Twitter or Instagram stories and cast your vote. So, yes, it's time for the podium of that gripping Nations Cup race.
Well done to the drivers who secured a podium finish in today's Nations Cup race. In third place, representing Belgium, it's Quintin Yehul. And in second place, representing Spain, it's Jose Serrano. And the winner of round 3 of the Nations Cup, representing Italy, it's Valerio Gallo. Congratulations, Valerio Gallo. Now, please show your respects for the national anthem of Italy.
Andiamo!
Brilliant stuff from Italian Valerio Gallo for taking yet another victory in the Nations Cup.
Oh, well done, Valerio Gallo, for that Nations Cup victory, and also to Team Porsche and Jose Serrano for winning our Manufacturers Series race. Thanks to Tom for his commentary, and thanks to you, Jimmy, for doing your stuff, whatever.
I'm incredibly important, thanks.
Apparently he's incredibly important. Anyway, keep checking out those Facebook and YouTube channels to stay up to date with all of the latest Gran Turismo action. And while you're on it, you might as well just go and watch that GT7 trailer again. How many times have you watched it?
Oh, I don't want to tell you.
Probably doesn't. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you again for World Series 4 next month. Take it easy and bye for now.
Vamos! Vamos!
PlayStation